Hi, my name's Glenn Sparks. I live in a very remote area of Southern Oregon with my wife and children. We're ordinary people, but we've been able to do something extraordinary. We found a way to help save the lives of starving children around the world in an unprecedented way. Over the course of a few years, we've provided nearly 4 million meals to malnourished and dying children in a dozen countries and are on track to provide over 5 million meals this year. Please have an open mind, because we're going to show you an innovative form of philanthropy that has empowered those who would give if they could, and given them a chance to make a bigger difference than they ever dreamed possible. And as shocking as this may sound, actually earning a living in the process. Now hang in there with me for a few minutes. Before we begin, a little story about what brought me to this point. I was very blessed to be raised in a household with parents that taught me some important principles of life that are irrefutable. One of the principles they taught is that there are rewards, blessings if you will, for those who have regard for the poor and less fortunate. And they taught me this not just by their words, but by their actions. When I was very young, we began supporting a Korean orphan by the name of Kim Jo-Duk. We didn't have much in the way of financial resources ourselves growing up, so I know the things that we did were relatively very small. But I remember always having the feeling that I wish we could do more. Maybe you felt this way before too. You have a desire to help, but you always have the feeling that what you're able to do is so small in comparison to the need. What if you could do more? And what if there was a for-profit philanthropic movement that allowed you to give consistently, while at the same time earning an income? One of the most overwhelming problems facing the world right now is the fact that there are 6 million children under the age of 5 who die every year because of starvation. 6 million children. That's about 18,000 every day. Think about it this way. We all witnessed the devastating 9.0 magnitude earthquake and the following tsunami that ravaged Japan. I remember watching the devastation on TV. It was on every single channel. The destruction and chaos was unimaginable. It was the most documented disaster in human history, and the entire world took notice. Soon the death toll reached 18,000, entire families and villages gone in an instant. Now imagine if that happened again tonight while you slept, and tomorrow night, and the next night. It strains the imagination to even visualize that such a thing were possible. But it did happen. And it will happen again tonight and tomorrow and the next day with no media, no heads of state, no investigations. More than 18,000 children under the age of 5 die every day of preventable causes directly related to malnutrition. That's 1 every 5.4 seconds. But we as human beings have a coping mechanism. We avert our eyes. We look the other way. And it's not that we're evil. It's not that we're bad people. It's just simply that when something happens that we feel so impotent to do something about it, the problem is just so big, we just feel powerless, so we look the other way. We change the channel. We close the browser window. The global hunger pandemic is now being intensified by the downturn in the global economy. Conservative estimates tell us that approximately 400,000 more children will die this year than last year. And as benevolent as we are as a people, the shocking truth is that 96% of all that we give stays within our own borders. That means that only 4% gets into those third world countries. It makes sense that we focus on our neighbors, our families, and ourselves. Times are tough. It's hard to think about helping others when some of us are becoming our own best charity cases. But guess what? If we don't help them, they die. And with 6 million children falling through the cracks every year, let's face it, we're not doing very well at doing good. The problem is not a lack of food. It's a lack of awareness, infrastructure, and an adequate distribution model. There's also a major lack of financial resources for those who truly want to give but just don't have enough. How can normal people, average everyday people like you and like me, do anything truly significant? Let me show you what me and my group of quote-unquote normal friends have found. Let me introduce you to a 501c3 charitable foundation called Zango Goodness. This foundation's major focus is on blessing the lives of children by actively partnering with philanthropic causes worldwide. The Goodness Foundation focuses its efforts on finding and helping those children who may have fallen through the cracks. Here's just a sampling of some of the organizations supported. Operation Smile, which focuses on cleft palate and facial deformities. Vitamin Angels, dedicated to eliminating childhood blindness by the year 2020. Children's Organ Transplant Association, ensuring that no child is denied a transplant due to lack of funds. And Bus Buddies, dedicated to enhancing the lives of people with mental disabilities. But they've done something even more incredible in the fight against malnutrition and hunger. In 2007, they introduced a life-changing product, the Zango Goodness Meal Pack. This is a meal replacement program designed to help bring kids out of the red zone of starvation and help strengthen those who can no longer digest solid food due to long periods of poverty, famine, or other disasters. By just adding water, it meets all of the basic nutritional requirements needed to get back on track for healthy growth. Our distribution partner is AmeriCares, one of the top 5 disaster relief organizations in the world. In fact, Forbes ranks them as number 3 on its 2010 list of the 200 largest charitable organizations. AmeriCares has an impeccable track record of nearly 30 years. They've provided more than $9 billion of aid to over 137 countries. 99.2% of their budget goes directly to charitable programs. Only 0.8% goes to overhead and fundraising. This allows us to rest assured that these meals are reaching the children that they were intended to. I've been blessed to see this firsthand. There aren't words to express the overwhelming relief and gratitude I saw in the eyes of these precious children. Whether we're delivering to Cambodia, Haiti, Myanmar, Kenya, the Sudan, or any of the other impoverished nations, we know that these life-saving meals are making it into the mouths of the children who so desperately need them. So up until now, this all sounds pretty much like every other well-respected charitable effort trying to eradicate world hunger. But I ask you to have an open mind. What we are doing is not how charitable giving has been done in the past. It's a self-funding, perpetually growing philanthropic movement. It's philanthropy for everyday people. Some even call it peer-to-peer philanthropy. The New York Times calls us philanthropreneurs. Charitable giving is no longer reserved exclusively for the wealthy. Philanthropy is being redefined right before our very eyes. The Goodness Foundation is the charitable arm of Zango, one of the most successful network marketing companies in existence. When a meal pack is purchased, not only are the meals shipped to those in need, but Zango also pays a referral commission to the person who helps spread the word. Every time a meal pack is shipped, a commission is paid to our team members who are promoting the cause. Very soon, the commissions can be substantial enough to pay for continued donations, and a perpetual giving machine is created. And as the machine gains momentum, so do the commissions and the meals generated. Let me just share something with you by way of confession. When I was first exposed to this idea, I didn't get it. I didn't understand how a for-profit charitable effort made any sense. I'd never seen it done this way before. My definition of charity was giving something freely without any expectation of return. Unfortunately, my limited thinking also limited the amount that I was realistically able to give. And then I realized that just because you're doing good doesn't mean that you shouldn't be compensated. Medical doctors and nurses work in the realm of doing good for sick people all day long. They're not taking advantage of sick people, they're serving sick people. But they make money in the process, and rightfully so. Social workers, teachers, counselors, religious clergy, and anyone else in the helping profession all fall into the same category here. Traditional charities even need to pay their staff and workers. It all came together for me when a pastor friend of mine used this illustration. He said that somewhere right now there's a truck driver picking up food donations from a manufacturing facility, loading them onto his truck, and taking them down to the docks where they're going to be loaded on a ship and taken to the Sudan to feed starving children. He may get some warm, fuzzy feelings about the fact that he's doing something more than just driving truck for a living. He's actually a wheel in the machinery that's getting food to starving children. But we wouldn't dare go to that truck driver and ask him to donate his time and services just because this is a charitable effort. He couldn't participate if we were to ask that of him. I realized that in this case I needed to move myself out of the realm of being a donor or contributor and into the realm of being a worker in the project. We call this the Network Giving Project.
When my wife Gayla and I went to Cambodia this last year and worked side by side with AmeriCares, mixing up these meal packs and feeding these meals to these starving and malnourished children there, not one of these children raised the concern of whether or not there was a profit being made on the distribution of this food. They were simply thankful that we'd come halfway around the world to share food with them. Now, certainly our trip to Cambodia was a life-changing event for us. We'll never be the same. But it was also almost a life-ending event for me personally. On the 17-hour flight from Bangkok to LA, something happened to me that the doctors called pulmonary emboli that set my heart into atrial fibrillation, and I immediately went into the hospital not knowing if I was going to live or if I was going to die. I had this calm, quiet assurance, peace, if you will, that two very important things had taken place. Number one, I'd been able to put in place a financial foundation that was going to take care of my wife and our two youngest special needs children if anything happened to me. And also we had done something very significant in our embryonic stages with this project. Through my efforts and the efforts of a few others of like mind, we had started something that was very significant on the world hunger issue, even if I was not here to see it personally. So just ask yourself the question, what if it was possible to get involved with us in this project with no capital investment, no technical knowledge or skill sets, or huge time commitments, all while providing food to malnourished children and improving your own personal economy in the process? Sound too good to be true? Is that a good enough reason not to look further? My personal objective here is not to just be a milepost along your path, but to be a fork in your road. Either we can part company and be friends and wish each other well and go on our merry ways, or you can actually become part of this groundswell and change people's lives for the better. I hope you take the next step with us, which is simply to explore together the rest of our story. How exactly we do this? How much time does it take? And who are the people involved? We find great satisfaction in working side by side with others of like mind and spirit who have joined with us in this movement. We hope you will too. Think about it. Earning a living by providing food to hungry children. Doing well while doing good. How cool is that?